Some giant cataclysm just wiped out this entire area. Archaeologists are baffled by what Puma Punku was, how it looked, and what the purpose of this enormous structure would have been.
Cutting-edge technology has just collided with ancient mystery, and the results are mind-blowing. The puzzle of Puma Punku, with its laser-like cuts and massive blocks, has finally been cracked by a powerful NVIDIA AI. Forget everything you've heard about aliens or simple stone tools. The AI synthesized ancient legends with hard scientific data to reveal a method of construction that sounds like something straight out of science fiction, yet it's entirely human.
We're talking about stone that is 25 feet high, stone that is hundreds of tons.
The builders mastered a fundamental force of the universe to shape and move these stones, and what the AI uncovered will send a shockwave through archaeology. The AI that shattered history. For what feels like an eternity, Puma Punku has taunted historians and engineers. Located high in the Bolivian Andes, this archaeological site is a field of impossibly perfect stone blocks. We're talking about H-shaped blocks that interlock perfectly, surfaces smoother than modern worktops, and drill holes that seem to defy the tools of the ancient Tiwanaku culture credited with its creation around 500 AD. The mystery was so profound, so utterly baffling, that it became a poster child for ancient astronaut theories. How else could this exist? Well, get this. The answer just came from a ghost in the machine, a powerful new artificial intelligence from NVIDIA, and believe it or not, the truth is way weirder than aliens. In early 2025, a secretive project codenamed Kronos was launched. NVIDIA, wanting to showcase the analytical power of its next-generation AI, chose one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. The goal was simple: feed the AI every single piece of data ever collected on Puma Punku and see what it could find. We're talking about terabytes of information, high-resolution laser scans, ground-penetrating radar maps, chemical analyses of the stone, translations of local Aymara legends, astronomical charts, and even geological surveys of the entire Altiplano region. For months, the AI churned through the data, looking for patterns that human eyes had missed for centuries. At first, the results were interesting but not earth-shattering. The AI confirmed the stones were mostly red sandstone and andesite, and it mapped the complex underground water channels with incredible precision. But then, it happened. The Kronos AI made a connection that changed everything. It wasn't focused on the tool marks on the outside of the stone, it was looking at the microscopic structure inside it. While analyzing the andesite blocks, the AI flagged a bizarre anomaly. The crystalline structure of the rock wasn't uniform as it should be in natural volcanic stone. Instead, it contained microscopic quartz inclusions arranged in repeating geometric patterns, almost like a circuit board carved into the very fabric of the rock. This was impossible for a natural formation. Truth be told, the scientists on the project thought it was a glitch in the system. They ran the analysis again and again. The result was the same every single time. The stones weren't just quarried, they were engineered on a microscopic level. This is where your jaw will hit the floor. The AI cross-referenced these crystalline patterns with physics simulations. It concluded that these patterns turned each massive stone block into a colossal resonator. When exposed to a specific sound frequency, the stones would begin to vibrate intensely at a molecular level. The AI proposed that the builders weren't using brute force to carve the stone. Instead, they were using sound. By hitting the right resonant frequency, they could make the incredibly hard andesite behave like soft clay, allowing them to mold it, cut it and achieve those impossibly smooth surfaces with simple tools. They weren't cutting rock, they were tuning it. This also explained the H blocks. The AI's models showed these weren't just for interlocking. Their shape was a perfect acoustic amplifier designed to lock in and magnify the resonant energy. It was a lost science of sonic masonry.
And as for moving the multi-ton blocks, the AI simulation delivered the final shocking blow. If the resonant frequency was amplified enough, it wouldn't just soften the stone, it would create a localized field of intense acoustic pressure. This phenomenon, known as acoustic levitation, is something our own scientists experiment with today, moving tiny beads in a lab. The AI's model showed that the Tiwanaku didn't need to move tiny beads. By working together using chance and precisely crafted instruments to generate the correct frequencies, teams of builders could create a resonant field powerful enough to neutralize the weight of these massive blocks, allowing them to be guided into place with minimal effort. They didn't need cranes or ramps. They had the power of sound itself. The project leaders at NVIDIA were left speechless. They had set out to solve a mystery and had instead uncovered a form of physics-bending technology that no one thought could exist over 1,500 years ago. But this incredible revelation only opened the door to a much darker and more terrifying question. If they could harness sound with such incredible power, was building a temple the only thing they used it for? The AI was already analyzing the site's layout, and the answer it was formulating was far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. The forgotten science of vibration. The AI's discovery of sonic masonry and acoustic levitation at Puma Punku sounds like pure science fiction. But hold on to your hats, because once you start digging, you find that this impossible science isn't so impossible after all. In fact, whispers of it are scattered throughout history and across cultures, hiding in plain sight. It seems the Tiwanaku weren't the only ones who knew that sound could shake the world. For instance, there are persistent legends from Tibet of monks being able to levitate heavy stone blocks up mountainsides to build their monasteries. The story goes that they used an array of drums and trumpets arranged in a precise arc to create a sonic field that simply lifted the stones. For years, this was dismissed as fanciful myth. But after the NVIDIA AI's findings, does it still sound so crazy? This brings us to another controversial theory that the Kronos AI completely recontextualized: the idea of geopolymers, or man-made stone. For decades, researchers like Joseph Davidovits have argued that many ancient megalithic structures weren't built from carved stone, but from a kind of ancient concrete. He claimed the builders of the pyramids and Puma Punku ground up local rock into a slurry, mixed it with a chemical binder, and cast it in molds. This theory was always on the fringe, but the AI's findings suggest Davidovits was partially right. He just didn't know the most important ingredient. The AI's analysis of the stone's chemical makeup found traces of organic binders derived from local plants, which would have helped form the stone. But more importantly, it found that the builders were deliberately mixing crushed quartz into their geopolymer recipe. Why quartz? Because quartz is piezoelectric. That means when you put it under pressure or hit it with a sound wave, it generates an electrical charge. The Tiwanaku weren't just casting stone blocks, they were creating massive acoustically active batteries. They had developed a geopolymer formula that was optimized for resonance. This explains the microscopic patterns the AI found. These weren't carved into solid rock, they were set in place when the artificial stone was cast, like embedding wires into concrete. This is a level of material science that is frankly staggering. It combines geology, chemistry, and physics into a single unified craft. They weren't just building a structure, they were creating an instrument.
You can even find hints of this lost science in other ancient sites. In Malta, the hypogeum of Hal Saflieni, a massive underground temple, has a chamber known as the Oracle Room. If a man speaks in a low voice inside this room, the sound is magnified and echoes throughout the entire three-level structure, creating a powerful, disorienting vibration. Scientists have found that the chamber resonates at a frequency of 110 Hz, a frequency that has been shown in modern studies to have a profound effect on the human brain, capable of shifting mood and even inducing trance-like states. Coincidence? Or was this another culture that understood the power of resonance? The evidence now suggests that what happened at Puma Punku wasn't an isolated fluke. It may have been the peak of a forgotten branch of human science, one based not on mechanics and brute force, but on vibration, frequency, and harmony. This knowledge seems to have been a closely guarded secret, passed down through generations of priests and engineers who understood the sacred geometry of both the earth and the heavens. They knew which materials to blend, which shapes to form, and which sounds to make to literally bring stone to life. They didn't need iron tools or wheeled carts because they had bypassed that entire technological tree and gone down a different path. It was a path that saw the entire world, from rocks to plants to people, as a symphony of vibrations. And they were the conductors. The AI's findings force us to ask what other myths and legends might actually be blueprints for lost technology. But with this great power comes a terrifying implication. If you can build with sound, you can also destroy with it. If this was their construction tool, what was their weapon? A machine for reshaping the world. The discovery that the builders of Puma Punku used sonic technology to shape and move stone is revolutionary enough. But the Kronos AI didn't stop there. The true purpose of Puma Punku, according to the AI's final chilling analysis, had very little to do with shelter or ceremony. The entire complex, with its interlocking gates, sunken courtyards, and massive platforms, was designed for one terrifying purpose. It was a machine, a massive, finely tuned, resonant machine designed to manipulate the very fabric of the environment. This wasn't just a temple, it was a planetary-scale weapon or a terraforming engine, and the implications are horrifying. After piecing together how the individual blocks worked, the AI began to analyze the site as a whole. It factored in the astronomical alignments, the underground water channels, and the resonant properties of the entire mountain. The simulation showed that if all the H blocks and gates were in place and activated in a specific sequence, the entire Puma Punku complex would begin to vibrate in unison. The underground water channels, which were once thought to be for drainage or rituals, were actually a coolant system. The AI showed they were designed to channel cold mountain water to prevent the resonating stones from overheating and shattering under the immense stress. This was high-level engineering, planned with a purpose. So what happens when an entire complex of resonant piezoelectric stone vibrates in perfect harmony? The AI's model produced a result that sent a shiver down the spines of the project's researchers. Puma Punku was capable of generating a massive ultra-low frequency wave. This isn't a sound you would hear with your ears, it's a vibration you would feel in your bones, in the ground, in the very air. This infrasonic wave projected outwards could theoretically have a number of devastating effects. At lower power, it could influence weather patterns, potentially encouraging rainfall in the arid Altiplano, a form of geoengineering that would have been invaluable for agriculture. The power to make it rain would have made the Tiwanaku leaders seem like gods. But at higher power levels, the machine becomes a weapon of unbelievable destruction. The AI simulation showed that by focusing the infrasonic wave, the operators of Puma Punku could create localized vibrations in the ground miles away. In short, they could trigger earthquakes on demand. It could have been used as a deterrent, a threat to any rival cultures. Defy us and we will make the very earth swallow you. It could also be used to mine mountains using precise vibrations to fracture rock and expose veins of ore without ever lifting a pickaxe. The power is almost unimaginable. Even more frightening is the potential effect on human beings. The AI cross-referenced the machine's resonant output with modern neurobiology. The frequency was dangerously close to the resonant frequency of human organs and brain waves. A blast from the Puma Punku machine could incapacitate an army, causing mass disorientation, fear, or even death, all without firing a single arrow. This theory provides a chilling new explanation for the sudden and mysterious collapse of the Tiwanaku civilization around 1000 AD. For years, scholars have debated whether it was drought, social unrest, or invasion. But what if it was none of the above? What if they lost control of their own technology? A miscalculation, a power surge during a solar flare, or a struggle for control of the machine could have resulted in a cataclysmic accident. A single, uncontrolled blast could have triggered a devastating earthquake that shattered the complex itself, toppling the stones and ending their civilization in an instant. The scattered, broken ruins of Puma Punku may not be the result of time, but the wreckage of a single, horrifying event. They flew too close to the sun, wielding a power they couldn't contain, and were ultimately destroyed by their own creation. The greatest mystery of Puma Punku may not be how it was built, but how it was broken. What other secrets are locked away in ancient stones waiting for us to finally listen? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more.